Hello everyone, I hope you're well. Warm welcome to my YouTube channel. It's Friday and I have a wet day today, so it's no gardening. I was hoping to finish a little bit of painting, but that's not happening today. So when it's a lovely wet day, I think that's a good excuse for a little bit of creative time. So let's just move these out of the way. So Sandra reminded me that I haven't done a ticketed snippet for a while, and these are snippets of ideas on my ticket stencil or die, and I used the stencil for these ones, but now we've got a die, so everything is so much more simplified now. So these are the little ticketed snippets I've done so far. I love that one, it's so textural. But these are the ones I've done so far. That's got clear texture paste on. I've got some more texture paste coming. I think the delivery, they said it's coming Monday. So these are the ones I've done so far. And I think these are the perfect little tiny little surface to practice things on. So I've taken delivery, excuse me, of the Gansai Tambi granulating colours. There is set 1, which they just call that granulating colours, and 1 they call number 2. And you can see the colours just on the packaging there. And the idea is that the colours sort of separate, unlike the normal Gansai colours, sort of flat colours. These separate and create dreamy colours. Now, I've not used them, so I've got no idea. So this is the first time I've opened them. And what I'm going to do, the easiest way to just see what's going to happen, I've actually got a jar of water. I know, don't shock, but we'll try and not drop it. So let's just pick up the colours. Let's wet our card. If you've got some watercolour card, that will work beautifully. I'm using my pink frog. This is just a scrap of card I'm using, and I've just added a load of moisture there. So I'm going to take the one that's sort of set 1. Let's spritz these a little bit more with water. So I'm going to take the first set, and I'm just going to add some water. Oh, they sort of separate. And so this, you can see the colours on here. And let's just add a little, continue adding a little bit of colour. So let's add a little bit more water. Oh, you get lots of different colours. I can see like the blues. Ooh, yummy. Pinks. It separates into sort of different colours. Ooh. How lovely. Tracy, you're going to put more than one colour on there? Obviously not. So what colour is this? It looks a brown colour. What does it go into? You can see I'm obviously mixing the colours only because I want to see what's in the palette. Oh, so that goes into, like, let me show you, sort of these pinky, peachy colours when you add. And if we spritz with water, let's spritz with water so it all separates a bit. Oh, look at that yummy separation. Look at that separation there, just wonderful. So that was Aurora Violet, Aurora Blue, Aurora Orange. Let's have this Aurora Pink, because that will go nice with some of this. Oh, I do like how it sort of separates. So that's Aurora Pink. So it goes down quite dark, but when it separates into those different colours. Then we've got Aurora Red. Let's have a little bit of Aurora Red as well. And then I'm just going to spritz with water again. Look how that separates. Yum. Oh, what yummy colours. Of course, I need another piece of card now. So do I have a scrap piece? Here we go. She says, reaching down onto the floor. I've got this long piece of card. Look at them yummy colours. So that's these here. And these are the sort of colours you've got. I didn't use the Aurora orange because I don't want to mix orange with the purple too much. But you can see your colours here now. It separates into different colours. Just wonderful. That's the set one. And I'm going to sort of move that up there. And then we're going to bring in this long piece. And I think it's a good idea to have a little play, whether you use your Lindy's, whether you use your Distress Oxides or whatever you use. I think it's a good idea just to have a play. Now this is not particularly clean water, obviously, because you've seen me add them colours in there. So let's just add a little bit. Oh wow, the blues in that. So let's just add. So then I'm going to come to set 2. This says Cosmic Violet, that Tracy hasn't spritzed very much. So let's have a look at the Cosmic Violet. And I've got quite a bit of water on there just so that it moves. So let's make sure that we've got plenty of water on there just so that that moves. Your watercolour cards will work beautifully, but so does the pink frog. Super smooth. And I've got more card that's supposed to be being delivered today. Everything's happening today. Then we've got Cosmic Blue. So let's just add a little bit more water so that moves. Cosmic Blue. Now, is that the back door or the front door? I'm hoping my husband goes, or I may have to run down the stairs. Just bear with me. Let me just check. He is coming. Bear with me. There we go. My husband's answered the door, so we don't have to move. So that doesn't break my concentration. There we go. That might be the pink frog card. So we'll just add a little bit of this Cosmic Blue. Then we're going to take the Cosmic Green. Oh, look at this. What colour's that? Let's take, yes, that sounds like the card that's arrived. So just taking the Cosmic Green. And obviously you may use these colours all separated into individual colours. I'm using them all as they are to see what happens, because there's nothing better than testing sort of in real time so that you know I'm not cheating. And these separate into different colours. Wait till you see the other piece that's drying at the top. They really do separate into different colours. This one is Cosmic Red. Let's pick that Cosmic Red up. And it's amazing how it changes colour. So let's now move that out of the way, move the water out of the way, and let's just give this a spritz. It's lovely when it's spritzed. And I'm hoping you can see this in camera, the way that is separating. No, you can't. Let's just move that up a bit. But you can see how it separates. Let me hold this one up that I've done first, which is easier said than done, because I don't really want to tip it onto my other one. I'm going to dry this anyway. But can you see how it separates into different colours? You've got pinks, you've got blues, you've got purples. It's just really, you've got reds in there. So it separates into different colours. It's not like that one solid colour. So I'm going to spritz this again, just because I do like that. Maybe because I'm a child and I like that separation of colour. Now I think when you've got backgrounds like this, it's a really good idea to then die cut your tickets out of, because we've got these lovely backgrounds. I'm going to dry these. I'm going to try and do a few tickets today, and maybe in separate videos. But you can see, look how wet my product is. And obviously if you let that dry naturally, you know, the longer it's in that water, you know, the better. I'm obviously going to dry mine, so bear with me. You can tell I mean business because the sleeves are rolling up now. So I'm going to, and you can see how much this is flooded with water. I mean, look. So we're going to give this a good dry. Now, if I use the heat tool close, you can move the colour. You could also still spritz with your water and you've still got that reaction. It's just lovely. So just give this a lovely dry. And I'm going to lift this up because you really can see how many colours you've got in there. You've got sort of a powder blue, a darker blue, purples, peachy, reds, lots of lovely colours in there. And I want to dry mine now so that I can do a little bit of die cutting. Now I love, there's something about a Friday for me. It's like the end of the week, and I always think it's a lovely time to relax and just appreciate my products and just enjoy them, no stress. And the actual using the ticketed snippets is a good idea because it's just a small surface to work on. I've got no idea what focal imagery I'm using, but that doesn't matter. Now obviously this is going to take quite a bit of drying because I soaked it. Again, you don't have to use as much water as me. You can also layer colours on top of each other again. There's obviously the translucency here, so you could keep layering. Do you like how it builds those patterns as well, where it's darker? I love that. You also get that sort of with your oxides as well. And the longer you leave them, the darker these areas become. Look how much water I've got on there. But the colours I've got in here, I've got so many colours now. Wonderful. Wow, this piece here as well, just wonderful. I mean, it's flooding here. I could have dabbed some of this moisture off, but look at this sort of, it reminds me of what they're called. Not shells, but where you get that going round. I can't think of the word now. Let's just, you know, when you've dug down a cave and that one is just, let's just soak that up a little bit so it doesn't go no further onto my craft sheet. You can see I've not dabbed the colour. I'm literally drying it where it is, just so that it makes those patterns. See, this is my problem. I get carried away. Once I've got lovely backgrounds, I'm like, ooh. I do get carried away a little bit. There is 10% off on my website until tomorrow, and there's also 20% off workshops. if you look on my Facebook page, it gives the discount codes. I'm going to have to look them up because I'm terrible. I've used that many names now that I have to change. So let me get the codes for you because I can't remember. Let me grab my iPad because poor old soul can't remember even from yesterday. So for your 10% off, you need to spend £20 and it's Feb discount. And for 20% off workshops, it's workshop 20 Feb and it's all capitals. But if you can't remember that, you can easily go to my Facebook page and it's added there. But can you see how you've got these patterns? Isn't it wonderful to be able to create your own backgrounds? If your card's a little bit sort of bent, you can spritz it from the back as well, just to flatten it out a little bit more. I'm very impressed with the granulation, the sort of movement of colour. I don't know what wobbling my heat tool around does, but it's just a habit. It's just a habit. So now most of that is dried. Look at those colours that you've got in there. Look at the patterns that you've got. Just wonderful. And then I'm just going to soak up some of this over saturation of colour on this one, because I know it's not interesting watching me drying things. But I do want to show you the colours in the second piece as well. Look at the colours in the second piece. Look at the colours in that. How wonderful. And when you cut them up, it looks totally different because you'll cut up different areas. So let's give this a little dry as well, because actually you can see quite a lot of that has dried quite nicely, and you can see it's sort of separated. See the separation here? Just how wonderful. Let's just give those a really good dry. Can you see where you've got the dark lines at the edges? Lovely, just yummy. And now we've got quite a bit of card and background that we've created very easily, nothing technical, that we can now use for our die cutting purposes. So I've just spritzed it a little bit on the back. Not that it matters, because I'm going to die cut out of it anyway. But look, no bleed through on your Pink Frog Super Smooth card. So no bleed through at all. Just wonderful. Takes that medium beautifully. And I love it when I've got a card, I don't have to worry that it's not going to do what I want it to do. Let's make sure that this is totally dry, and the perfect way to test that is use your hand. There we go. I think we've got some lovely backgrounds now, and I've got my die cutting machine here. And then if we bring in our, where are you? Let me just, so if you look at DI02, die ticket cuts, you can see the dies are much bigger than the actual front cover shows, just so that you can see that. It's much bigger. So just lovely size. So that's DI02 and it's ticket cuts, and it works perfectly for our ticketed snippets. And also you can obviously use the stencil, colour through your stencil that coordinates with this, and then die cut that out. It works beautifully for that as well. But I'm going to use this. So is it the large ones we use? It is, isn't it? Let's just make sure. It's going to take me a week. Yep, you can see it's that one that I use. So let's cut a couple out here. Now I'm going to use, am I going to use my low tack tape? I want to sort of not waste anything really. Let's bring in our die cutting machine that I've got on the floor. Let's move this out of the way at the minute. I want to do it that way. Just remembering the combinations because I'm hopeless. So I cut into this one, so I place my die face downwards. I just like it so that you can see everything I'm doing. Now, am I going to wing it or tape it down? What do you think? Wing it, it's called. Then let's just place that down. Now, if you're going to use your low tack tape, I'm sorry for knocking the camera, I've only got a certain amount of space. If you're going to use your low tack tape, make sure it's low tack. That's quite natural for it to make that clicking noise. So let's... Now, when you cut that out, doesn't that look just wonderful? What do you think? Doesn't it look fab? Just fab. So let's leave that on there. Let's just move my dies because I don't want the die cutting machine leaning on them. You can also, so if I place that down like that, like so, you can then use the piece that goes in the middle . You really should tape them down. So you can use the piece in the middle. Now you can see I'm just having a play. So let's bring this through here. So if we bring this in, you've now got this framed piece as well, if you want to. So we could put some acetate behind there quite easily and add something, and we can use that as a separate piece. So we could add white pieces so that it's a bit thicker, couldn't we? So we've got a frame. So now you've got a frame because you've cut the inside out, which works really nicely. And let's cut another one out of this, like so. Not the middle piece at the moment. But don't they look different when you cut them out? This is 300 GSM card that I'm cutting out. But don't they look wonderful? I'll bring these in so you can see them closer, don't worry. But you've also got these pieces that you could actually use. You could use those as well. Let's bring in the other piece. So this is why I like doing pieces like this. So let's have that one. I'm running out of space now because this piece is a little bit bigger. Never, Tracy. It's not bigger, is it? I want to try and just keep it whole as I can, just so I waste as little as possible. And my, non-stick craft sheet moves, so that doesn't help. So, and I'm trying to make it so you can see what I'm doing and that, no trickery. But again, you've now got another ticket. So let's move along. Actually, we could cut that bit off now, couldn't we? So let's just wasting as little as possible. But again, you could use that quite easily by putting on a card. Put that on a card piece. But this is one of the reasons I bought that, because I wasn't going to bring dies out, because every company does dies and you can get them from everywhere. So it's, you know, I've not invented the wheel or anything, but when I realised I love, because you know by now, I love creating backgrounds, and it dawned on me it makes our stamps go even further and the stencils by having the dies. So let's bring this in. I know it's not particularly interesting watching me cutting out, but look at that. How gorgeous is that? So then we can do it again. Let's turn the heating down. There we go. Because you can see I'm working now, so it's making me warm. Let's put that in there. And obviously if you tape it down, you can get all your cutouts quite straight. I'm just going for it. Look how many backgrounds. And it's just a little bit of card you've coloured. That's all you've done, is coloured a little piece of card. And it just makes endless possibilities. Let's just... Again, each background just looks completely different. Make this the last one now. I do love to show things in real time. No editing out so that you only see the best bits. Let's move the cutting machine. So let's move that out of the way. And this is why Tracy ends up with a million pieces everywhere. Right. So you can see even your cutout pieces are beautiful. I mean, that could be a card in itself. In fact, that would be a very nice card in itself. And so would that. So there's things that we can do with that. You've also got these tickets. So let's just move this out of the way. Look at these tickets. Just wonderful backgrounds. Here is the one. Oh, I'm making a right mess. Come here. So we've got the one where we had a frame and we cut out the centre bit. You could lay that piece on top of there, like so, and we can add a piece to that ticket quite easily. So I think that will go on there. This one, I wonder if I've got any packaging. Where did I see the packaging? Bear with me a second, bear with me. So this is a piece, like it's from one of the dies or something. It's just my packaging. Like so. We could open this out. Let's open this out. So you can see, I'm just opening this out. plastic on there, which makes it Are we opened out yet? Come on. There we go. I'm just trying to get the packaging open, that's all. So then we could add a little bit of acetate through here. So let's stick that. Well, it's not acetate, it's packaging. So you can now use your packaging. Now you can see I'm just making this up as I go along. So bear with me. So I'm just making this as I go along, up as I go along. I cannot speak. This is where this adhesive comes in handy because it's got a quick grab. And it's free of plasticines, is it? So that's wonderful. So I can then just place this here, like so. Just place that on there. And I'll give that a little bit of time just to adhere to that little bit of plastic. And it doesn't matter because we won't see the back. And then we can just trim this. Obviously I could have just die cut the piece out. I'm just doing it this way. But you've got plenty of packaging that you can quite easily use. But again, you could have die cut this out of your die with your die and just matched it up. There we go. So now I've got a piece with a little bit of acetate or whatever you want to call it. And then what we can do is, what am I thinking? A little bit of, come on Tracy, text. Text. Which one do you want? TE. Shall we have TE11 like we normally do? Okay. So I'll put this on one side, and then we've got these little tickets. So let's have a look at maybe, or even a smaller one. Let me have a look at that small one. The small inner bit I'm using, not necessarily the ticket. Yes. So we're going to use that. But let's grab a piece of, I'm going to be saying scrap card forever now. Let's take a little bit of this and let's have some stamping. Now let's have a little bit of black stamping. You're just going to have the text, Tracy. Let's just ink a little bit of this background up. So can you see? No, you can't. Let's make sure you can see. Okay, so we've got a little bit of that background on there. Let's give that a dry just before we cut out. So you don't need any bits extra. Your stamps and dies will do everything for you. They'll create your own ephemera, everything. I'm just going to just place the end on there. Now I can take this smallest piece, and if I want to, I can just pinpoint wherever I want to add this piece. Now, I don't know why I've got it in place there, because I need to bring the die cutting machine up. So let's get the die cutting machine, which makes everything simple for us, as long as you can remember where you put everything, unlike Tracy. So let's just do it this way. Oh, sorry, I do keep hitting the camera, just because I'm trying to keep the camera close so that you can see. So let's have a little bit of that text. I've not cut the card, which would make it much easier if I didn't have such a big piece of card, but there you go, I'm going with it. We don't need to go all the way through there. I just keep chucking everything on the floor, which is hilarious. There we go. So we can then just pick this up. Again, look, you've got another idea here. This gives you another idea instantly. Let's take that out. Always remember to put your dies safe back, because then you're not spending weeks and weeks trying to find pieces. And don't worry, if you've got a little bit of ink on there, just give that a little wipe, just so that when you use it again, you haven't got any wet ink on there. It's only because I haven't dried it enough, that's all. So then, we want to add this sort of underneath, so it'll be enclosed. So I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive. And then I'm just going to dab it out so it's almost quite fine. And then I'm going to add this here. Let's turn that round just so that you can see what we've got there. Just so we've got that now. I want to just, do I want to add something else? What else have you got on there? Have I got any numbers? Let me just, where's 45? Where's number 45? What's that got on there? Here we go. So on 45, we've got some little embellished pieces. So, and you can see I'm faffing a little bit. That's fine. Let's just pull this out. And what I'm doing is I'm having a fun little play just with my piece. There we go. So I'm going to just pick up my piece that's now got my bit of plastic on there, and I'm going to see yes, let's take the 149. So take that 149. Now I want this to remain see-through card. So we'll take the 149. We'll just stamp that. Excuse me. Place that back so I'm not looking for it. Then we can cut this out. So let's cut And it always takes a little bit longer if, like me, you're playing around. You're playing around with ideas or you're testing products. It always takes a little bit longer than if you've got something pre-prepared. There we go. So again, I can add this. So let's take our adhesive. I'm just going to add a little bit. There we go. So I'll just add a little bit there. I'm just going to take off the excess, just so the adhesive is quite flat. And where are you going to put that, Tracy? I'm going to add that. You're not going to see all of this because I'm going to put something on the top, but you'll see part of it underneath. We've got a bit of adhesive. Oh, we go. Got a bit of adhesive. There we go. So that is now stuck on there. I'm then going to take, she says, so let's take TE9. Where are you? Is it TE9? No, it's not TE9. What am I thinking? No, insect. 27. Is that? Remembering the numbers is the hardest part. Are you in there? Yep. So I'm now going to take TE27, which is insect. It's got some nice numbers on there as well. So we're going to take the insect. I'm going to end up with bits everywhere because that's just me. I'm going to stamp this with the black. There we go. So you can see, obviously we're not going to do all these tickets because you've got all these, like, that you can play with and do whatever you want with, but you've now got a whole selection of tickets. So let's place this on here. So it's actually the insect that I want, or the moth. And I've given that plenty of time to make an impression on there. So let's give that a dry. And we'll add a little bit of colour to this as well that will coordinate with our background. What did we do on the previous tickets? Oh yes, we just did. Left them as they are. That's fine. Then I'm going to, let's cut this down just so that I've got a massive piece of card. Just makes it easier for me to cut down. But I want to add a little bit of colour on there. So let's take my Prisma pencils. That's why I've dried it, because I'm going to use my Prismas. Now, I'm sure the Process Red, let's have a look. I knew the Process Red would be the right colour. And shall we have a little bit of purpley colour and then go into a pale. So let's just sharpen that one because that's terrible. That's a little bit better, so it'll do. Let's just sharpen this one. That's more. Oh, now I've probably broken that because I dropped it. trying not to run over things here, which is not easy. So I'm going to add a little bit of the processed red just to my moth, because I am going to cut my insect out. So it's quite sort of loosely coloured. Quite loosely. Just so that it's got some of that colour in there. So this is the processed red, which is 994. I'm then going to go to Parma Violet 1008. I'm sure I've got one that's smaller than this, Parma Violet. So I'm coming in quite loosely with that colour. Because it still works even if your colour is quite loose and not super blended, it still works. Let's have a little bit there. But it just means it coordinates nicely with our project. So that was 1001, and we've then got lilac 956. So with the lilac, we'll just come in and just loosely add a little bit of the lilac. But you can, once you've added that colour, you can see where you go. So we're going back to the processed red, just to add a little bit more colour. So you can see then where you want to add a little bit more of that colour. And it's got the colours that are in our background. Then I'm going to go to the Parma Violet, which was the 1008. Light. So then I can just add a little bit of that. And you don't have to be so hard on yourself, because it doesn't need to be perfect for the moth. It just works. Just missed a little bit here. Let's make that all the processed red. There we go. Then we'll add our lilac. But the colouring is very simple. It works nicely, and we'll add some touches of white afterwards. So I'm then going to take my moth. I'm going to leave a tiny white border. I know some of you don't like your white border, so then don't leave that white border if you don't want it. Okay. Just cut around this. It's up to you how much detail you cut out. It's absolutely fine if you don't want to cut every little detail out. This will work quite nicely, because it's like a sort of, works as like a specimen then, doesn't it? So then we're going to have this stuck on here like so. You can still then see a little bit of the underneath. So let's add this. Just add this here. I'm going to keep swapping it, but then you've still got that see-through element. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut another one of these frames out and enclose this inside. However, because we're adding this to our book, it doesn't really matter, does it? Because you can see that you can see through it, so it doesn't really matter. However, I'm still not finished yet. Itchy nose. So have I got anything that, see, I don't really want to cut one of these up, so let's just leave that like that. Let's take, which one would you want? Yes, I'm going to, let's move this out of the way. I now get too much stuff everywhere. All this is where I'll lose things. So I'm going to take one of the smaller ones. So we'll just take one of the smaller tickets and let's just cut that out. Again, I've got the die face down. There we go. Again, you could still use these pieces. Let's bring in my piece. So what I'm thinking is, if I cut this, let's cut it around about, I don't know, there. And you've still got pieces you can use. So for instance, we could use this piece that we've cut off here, just at the back there. And then this piece, if we go back to TE27 with the moth on it, it's got the word insect. So let's take that word insect. Now where are you going to place that, Tracy? More up the top? Yeah. So I'm going to use my black ink. Take the insect word. I'll just place that near the top right-ish. That's it. Oh, I've got bits dangling from everywhere now. So then, if I add this, so now I can take a little bit more off because I'm being a bit fussy now. So I'll just take a little bit more off. Then I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive just here. And then let's place that down. I love how people do these fast videos and here's me still faffing doing this one. It's hilarious. And some people can make this in 10 minutes. Not me. There we go. Just hold that down. Just remove a little bit of that adhesive. And obviously it's just moving because that's not grabbed hold yet. But we've then got our insect on here. And we can then add this to our piece like so, because they don't all have to face the same way. They can face different ways. But it just gives you another idea with your tickets. Obviously, if you're having this standalone, you would put a back piece on, another frame, and put that over the back, because then that will just finish it off. But I don't need to do that because I'm adding it to my book. So you've used some recycled packaging. You've used your ticket in a slightly different way. Let's just make sure that all, got a lovely way to this. I've got lumps and bumps underneath because this is lumpy and bumpy, which is just not handy. So let that just grab hold. Just hold that down instead of talking too much, just so that it grabs hold. We can add touches of white as well. That's it. I've got so many lumps and bumps underneath this page. But once that grabs hold, that's fine. There we go. So we have our moth on there with the acetate. But it's not really acetate, it's packaging. So that works quite nicely. And we can add our splatters of white afterwards. Then we can take this one. Let's add the word insect to this. So let's pick that up. And they're like little specimen files, aren't they? Well, you know what I mean anyway, don't you? So add that insect word. Let's place that back so Tracy doesn't forget. Let's just clean my fingers because I've picked up that stamp. So let's add a little bit of adhesive just down here. And then we can add this to here. Like so. Just make sure that grabs hold. There we go. Then we'll stamp our, let's just place that there like so. Then we'll add our image again. So we want some of that spare card. So we'll take that spare card and we'll stamp that in black once again. But this time I'm only going to use half. Just take that like so. But you see, can you imagine this as a card with florals in? I think I'm going to have to do that because that is just lovely. And I've already been on here coming up to an hour, and all I've done is 2 small tickets. But it's giving the ideas as well, isn't it? It's not just, you know, rushing and creating the project. Let's just give this a try. There we go. I'm going to adhere this, but before I adhere this, I'm going to... Have we got any copy paper? I've got something here. Anyway, I think that's got embossing powder on. I'm just going to go around this piece just with a little bit of black. So I'm just using my Posca pen just to go around some of this. There we go. So we just go around that with the black. Then I'm going to add this to here. just add our little piece to here, like so. Look at those colours. Oh, wonderful. You can really see the colours beautifully, absolutely beautifully. Now I'm going to, which side are you going to use, Tracy? So because I don't know, I'm going to do the colouring afterwards, maybe. I know I don't need to cut it all out, but I can't make my mind up what I'm doing yet, so hence I am cutting it all out. You won't have to, because you will have the video already and you can then see exactly what I'm doing. Tracy just can't decide at the moment. But if I cut the whole thing out first before I cut him in half, that sounds painful, doesn't it? So I'm just leaving a white border. There we go. Then we can decide. So it is going to, so I only need to cut this off. Then we'll add him here, like so. But I'm still going to add a little bit of colour. Let's just try his body first and leave his wing black and white. So again, using that process red. A little bit of Parma violet. So a little touch of Parma violet. And then a little bit of lilac. And let's see if that's enough, or I want to add all the colour. Yes, I'm going to just add that here, like so. But I'm just going to add, because I'm a nuisance, a little touch of white stamping. So you can see I've touched that with my hands. So I'm just going to use my anti-static bag. I'm going to use my Versamark. I couldn't be without this Versamark. Now, you know that just not long ago I used black ink on this. So I'm just going to give that a little clean, just so that, even though this isn't clean anyway, but just to protect my Versamark a little bit, I've just cleaned it. So then I'm going to just dab with a little bit of the Versamark. Then I'm going to add a little bit of the stamping. Let's see. White embossing powder. You can't see anything, and neither can I. So let's just, oh, lovely, lovely bit of random stamping. You can't beat TE11. There we go. We'll just give that a heat. Let me just make sure we've got it everywhere we want it. I actually think that's okay. Yep. So I'll just melt that embossing. Whoops. No, we'll just keep moving, hold it in place. Let me just get my scissors. Just melting that powder And remember, it's not stamped perfectly, it's stamped randomly. Oh, how lovely, a lovely bit of white. Come on, that last little bit. Just lovely. Then we can add our little moth. Just on the edge, like so. Just give that a little bit of time to grab hold. Also, my card's still warm. I just need that adhesive just to just bend you a little bit, because we still need to see our word. There we go. We'll then add this to our little book. You don't have to add it to a book. I do, because I like to look back, because this is quite a novel idea with the packaging. There we go. So let that just press that down. Then I'm going to add some white splatters. I'm purposely trying to aim away from the inset wording. There we go. And then if I've missed anywhere, I can just add little touches of white with my bleed proof Dr. PH. If you've got this in a paint palette, you can just reactivate it. Just reactivate, no problem. I just take the excess off. I'm just adding a little bit of white, just here and there. That one doesn't need much because it's not totally all coloured, and because I've added the white splatters, that really lifts it anyway. But I'm just adding a little bit more white, just here and there, just to lift that a little bit. It's only little touches. I'll let that dry a bit. Let's just clean this because I'm being good. And then we've got our little tickets. There we go, we've got our little tickets. And we can, like we've done before, where's that now? We can add a little bit of shading just around our tickets. Now don't forget, this is not watercolour paper in the book, so just remember that. Don't drown it because it's not watercolour. This has got a load of white on because it's highly pigmented. And then you can just blend this out. Just blend that out. Don't know whether that's the front door, back door. So let's just blend that out just so that just add a little bit more. Considering it's not watercolour card, it doesn't do too bad. I'm then going to take my Posca pen again and then make sure I aim just for the edge a little bit. There we go. And you too can faff like me. Remember to clean the end of your glue. And you can see then we've got a couple of fabulous ticketed snippets, just wonderful. And you've also got all your backgrounds here. So I may create another ticket. Well, I will create another ticket with these as well. I'll probably come along and create another ticket with these because we've got 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Look at that. You've got those 6. You've got these. You've got these. And I know it's an hour of play, but I do think it's worth it. But it's like when you've got things like, I wonder if you can, so like when you've got that, you could, honestly, I'll go in a minute. This is what I'm like all the time. But when you've got that, let's take the die cutting machine again. So that was the bit, I cut out the little bit of text, as you can see. But I could quite easily come in. Yes, you should tape it down, not do what I'm doing. Then you look for the other cutting plate. What do I do with the other cutting plate? That must be it. Make sure you pick up the right thing because trace is dangerous. And if you tape it down, you're not faffing as much as me. That's the advantage. There we go. You can see why I've never got enough hours in the day, can't you? So now, let's take this. You've now got this little frame again with that in the centre, and you could quite easily use it on your piece. You see, this is why I like plain, because I like that there. I like it on both of them, but I'm going to put it here. And this is why I love plain. And this is why I'm the kind of person where I say, oh, I'm going now. And then I think, oh, hang on a minute. You could just do. So let's just close that. And that's why I've bought out dies to go with the stencils. That's exactly why. Because they go with your stamps so beautifully and they work really, really well. And because when you play, you end up with so many ideas. So let's just bring in a little bit of that Posca. And I've still got all these left. So I really do hope you've enjoyed that and you'll give it a go. So love to all, and I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.